Thank you guys for coming. I'm Demetri Demascus. I'm the co-founder of PROFILEmiami, and we're here today with Daniel de la Vega, the president and CEO of SOTHEBY'S Realty. And we're at the sales center for Oasis Hallandale, where they recently celebrated their top off. So thank you, Daniel, for having me.
Thank you, Demetri. Thank you for all of you for being here and celebrating this incredible milestone. I know many of you have supported us throughout the life of this beautiful development, and your support really does mean the world. And we would literally not be standing here today if it wasn't for many of you in this room. And I really mean that. As brokers, you know that as well. So thank you very much for your support. And I love what you do. You guys are always putting out really, really positive pieces, making our life easier as well. So happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. So can you tell us a little bit about your journey in the real estate industry and how you got to the point of leading the SOTHEBY'S Realty brokerage?
Yes, of course. We said we only have about 30 or 40 minutes. That could take about 30 or 40 hours. But it's been an incredible journey. And, you know, I think there's so much to talk about. But one thing about my journey, and I actually thought about it last night driving home from one of our offices in Brevard County. It's been an incredible experience because of the people that I've met and the relationships that I've made. I have met some of the most interesting people around the world. And for me, that is really what keeps me going. When I meet a new advisor, when I meet a new developer client, I feel like I'm constantly learning. And I really have taken that approach in business from day one. I was young when Maya and I started this business, and we both really knew nothing about running a brokerage, right? It was 2008. And I was finishing a couple development projects that I had done. I had bought and sold these wood-framed construction buildings in an area in Miami called Little Havana. I would buy them at the time for $12,000, $15,000 a door. I would fix them and then I would flip them. In hindsight, I wish I would have kept them all. I ended up doing about 150 of those units. And I did a few high-end single-family homes in the Coral Gables area, which I just barely got out of the last one. This was literally November of 2008. We launched Sotheby's in December of 2008. Mai was a high-end luxury broker. So for me, getting into this business, I was excited. I knew we had something incredible with the Sotheby's International Realty brand. But I was scared. I was nervous. I was anxious, really. That's probably the best word to use. And every step of the way leading up to today, sitting here, as I look at the different faces in this room, I've learned from so many people, right? And I think that as you grow a business, the only constant thing in life, like in business, is change. And I like to say that we're building the plane and flying it at the same time constantly. But learning, surrounding myself around really incredible people that know more than me about a specific skill, learning from them, and then making decisions around that was really an instrumental part of my growth and probably the main reason that I'm here today. I've, again, learned from so many people in the industry, and I cherish those relationships so much. And that is, if you ask me what is the essence of Sotheby's, of Sotheby's, it is definitely the people. It is definitely the culture for everybody to kind of learn from each other, work well together. And we've, had a lot of changes over 18 years, but, we've got a lot of people, over 60% of the people that are with us, that have been with us for over 15 years, right? So for me, I really pride myself on that. And those relationships that you build are so important. And listen, people want to grow, people want to go do other things, people want to leave the industry. But as long as people say that the time that they spent at this business or at this company, rather, they made good relationships, they learned, they evolved, That's what it's about.
So to go off script a little bit, I know we got some questions we got
I'm better off
to get
script.
to. But as opposed to the traditional brokerage model, Miami and South Florida has a bunch of development sales opportunities. Can you discuss bringing the development sales into One Sotheby's?
Yeah, no, that was a very interesting question, and it was a very interesting segue for us, because just like we knew nothing about the brokerage business, we knew nothing about the new development business, right? And this kind of ties into people and relationships, which you hear a lot about technology. We are going to be getting, Compass International Holdings just acquired Anywhere. We will be launching in the third quarter of this year, the Compass technology. So I love technology. I'm all about AI, but I still believe that our business is a relationship business, and it will always be a relationship business. People want to work with the people that they love, right? So for me, the first two opportunities that were ever presented to us were, one, the W South Beach, and that was with David Edelstein. That was in 2009. So in the summer of 2009, they were really struggling with sales. It wasn't the company at the time. I mean, it was just a really, really difficult time, right? The group that was there. But the developer wanted something different, right? He wanted to reach the international markets. We came into the market saying, international is our middle name. We're different. We had a lot of competitors add international to their name after, we really marketed around that. And Mai, actually, one of the things that she did primarily was travel the world and connect the dots with the Sotheby's International Realty brand, while I was kind of holding the fort trying to figure things out down here. But we actually got in the door at the W South Beach, which I'll add one more nugget. It was a condo hotel. For all of you in the room, you know how hard condo hotels are in really South Florida overall. They're tough to sell. So we got in the room with David. I remember Maya and I flew to New York, and we went to his big, beautiful office on Fifth Avenue. And we got in the door because of a good friend of mine that I went to high school with named Brandon Koff, who's still with David Edelstein. They just did the Nomad in Wynwood together with Related, and they sold it out very successfully. And they've done a lot of other projects since then. But then the second project was also through a relationship that I had built, which was Marty Margulies, and that was Bellini and Williams Island. And that was also a very successful sellout. Both of them, actually, the first project, we turned it around because the ADRs were very low. The programming, this is the W, the programming wasn't great. They bring in Chow, they bring in W, they bring in A.B. Rosen's Art Collection. They start having the hottest parties during Art Basel. And we just started selling. I mean, people were buying into the fact that these units were going to appreciate. We started at $1,000 a foot. They started to believe in the fact that the ADR was going to continue to go up, as it did. Studios were going for $2,000 a night. And we got to about $450 million. And I remember David said, you got to stop selling. We're making too much money on the hotel. We want to keep the units. And they kept all the units. They never resold them until the Rubin brothers just bought it maybe about a year ago, and they're going to reflag it, I think. But Bellini was a similar experience, a wonderful experience, a relationship that I had from a very young age that got us in the door. And then, from there, the rest is history. Other projects like 1000 Museum, Brickell City Center, of course, the beautiful Oasis that we're here at today. So, yeah.
And can you talk a bit about the Sotheby's brand? And you guys have the franchise for Florida, correct?
Yeah. So that for us has been a key differentiator. And I'll kind of go back to the beginning, right? Nobody really, I remember I went to lunch with my grandfather and my father, and I said, listen, Mai is thinking about doing this, and, I'm kind of getting out of a couple of these deals. I'm not 100% sure that this is the right route. What do you guys think? I'm thinking that they're going to tell me, yeah, do it. It's great. They're like, don't do it. She's crazy. It's the worst time in the world. But, you know, her and I sat down and we kept, you know, thinking about all the great things that could happen. And we convinced ourselves that it was the right move. And, you know, we did have a sense that Miami was becoming more and more and more of an international city. We were seeing that at both levels, her level as a high-end broker, my level on some of the people that we saw moving to some of the units that we were renting once we fixed them up. So we did believe in the international component, and we really leveraged that heavily early on. And I think that sitting here today, 18 years later, almost 18, this is our 18th year, December, it is our biggest strength, right? And, you know, I love it because sometimes competitors use it against us. And I say, to some of our clients, wait a minute, which market is the most important market to you? Is it Chicago? Hold on, Jennifer, can you get Chris Viewer on the phone, please? So that we can fly up and we can have an incredible event with him. Or, oh, wait, who in Spain? You're seeing a lot of traction from Spain. Maya was in Spain last week with the owners, Sven. We're putting out a new magazine with them. And you can kind of go around the world and do that because of what Maya did early on. And you see the fruits of that labor now. And that is definitely our key differentiator. And, you know, when we're able to do that, it's always a very proud moment for me.
And you were just named the president and CEO. Can you tell us a bit about your new role?
Yeah. So I would probably say that my role hasn't necessarily changed. I was pretty much the acting CEO for the last 5 years or so. But in all honesty, I not today, but leading up to it, I was nervous taking on the title, you know, because with the title comes more responsibility. You know, not because you're doing more, but because, you know, it's a title thing, you know. And for me, it's been a very smooth transition. And again, you know, for me, the most rewarding part of the transition was not having the title. I'm actually not a title person. I could have been fine being president or whatever you wanted to call me. The people around me know how hard I work, and that's really what's most important for me. They know that I'm working for them. But, you know, for me, the funnest part, the coolest part was the most rewarding part was the support that I had from the people around me. That to me, you know, brought tears to my eyes at moments, and the posts, and not social media, because I have a saying, and it's hard in this industry, very hard as I sit up here and speak on a live panel, but stay out of the spotlight because it fades your suit. You know, so I have always tried to keep a lower profile, despite sometimes the team pushing me and saying, you have to do more of this, you have to do more of that. You're good at that. I'm like, okay, I'll do it, but I don't, you know, necessarily yearn for it, right? So for me, honestly, the most rewarding and the biggest impact that the title change has had on me is the support that I've had from my peers, many of the advisors at Sotheby's International Realty, and, you know, many of the staff that have been with us a short or a, you know, long period of time.
So we're here at Oasis Hallandale Beach. For somebody that doesn't know the project, can you tell us a bit about it?
It's all about the developer. He is rock solid. And, you know, we have represented developments in the past. Many of our competitors have represented developers in the past that have really struggled to get developments off the ground, right? I don't have to tell you. You've probably written about some of them. You know, but when I met Giuseppe and his family, I immediately knew that he was fully committed, completely vertically integrated into Oasis Hallandale, believed in what was happening in Hallandale. And, you know, the proof is in the pudding, right? As we're sitting here today with the support of these incredible brokers, topping off the East Tower, enclosing the West Tower in, I think, less than 60 days, you know, and getting incredible momentum. And he started this project without a loan. He started this project, believed in the area with his cash, with his balance sheet. And that's why he's sitting where he's sitting today, being able to push pricing as we just did, and being able to continue to curate the lifestyle that you get here at Oasis. And that to me is probably the biggest differentiator to many other developments in the area, the lifestyle. I mean, 10 minutes before I got here at 1 p.m., you saw me walking in. I went to the KC market. It's a kosher market. It's absolutely incredible. I tried all the dips before I actually bought my bowl. And that's just one of many, many F&B options that you have here. And lifestyle is a major, major, major driver. So I told you earlier, I was up in Brevard County yesterday, Melbourne Beach. Before that, I was in Vero Beach, two very important markets in Central Florida for us, East Central Florida. I was talking about the Luxury Outlook report that Sotheby's International puts out, Sotheby's International Realty puts out on an annual basis. And the two key drivers for buyers in 2025 were value and lifestyle. Value and lifestyle. And when you look at Oasis Hallandale, both of those things stand out like no other development in, arguably, we're in Broward County, but South Florida, right? And you have, projects like Shell Bay that are getting an incredible amount of hype because of, what's happening there with the golf course, et cetera. But when you look at that and you look at the pricing that they're at and you compare it to the level of finish that you get here at Oasis and the lifestyle that you get at Oasis, you don't have the same F&B options that you have here. And you have a lot of room to grow. So one, value, room for growth in your investment, and two, lifestyle. And you get both of those things here at Oasis Hallandale. So for me, it's one of my favorite projects. I'm so proud when you go on our website to be representing these two gorgeous buildings and to be representing a building that is going to be finished, that's going to be delivered, and that's going to be delivered well. Right? This is just a small example in this sales gallery that we're in of what's actually going to be delivered. And I don't know if I'm talking too long here, but I had the opportunity to walk the building with the family maybe 5 months ago, and I know now it's so much further down the line. And Arquitectonica is the architect, and I think personally it's one of the most beautiful buildings that they've designed. And the floor plans are incredible, and the amenities are wonderful. So we can get to all that, but I'll let you ask your new question because I can just keep going about Oasis Hallandale.
So before we get to the building, you were mentioning the lifestyle and the F&B. The commercial component is going to serve as the city center for Hallandale Beach. Can you discuss a little bit about that and how it adds more value to the buyers and their lifestyle?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was at KC Market earlier. To be able to pop in there and just grab the things that you need quickly and take them to your apartment. I think they're going to even have delivery service, right, to the different units. They are. Signor Sassi, that was a restaurant that I was in London. I was in Mayfair, actually, in the heart of London, the highest end neighborhood in London, maybe in October. And I walked in there and I had a coffee in there and I was meeting some people. And then I came back and I was talking to Giuseppe and he said, come in, look at the build out. And here they are right here, the same restaurant that's in the heart of Mayfair that was absolutely packed. The who's who of London is dining at this restaurant. They're right here at Oasis Hallandale. You have one of the best gyms in South Florida, over 20,000 square feet, spectacular. You have Da Vinci, which is another great spot. So, this lifestyle, like I was saying earlier, is really hard to come by in a traditional condo project in South Florida. So when you add the office, when you add the F&B, there's going to be a luxury and an antique car retailer that's going to be here as well. They're going to have all the supercars imaginable. We know because we were just at Sotheby's just had an auction at the Biltmore. I don't know if you had the chance to attend. It was a monsoon. I think they didn't have the attendance they expected. But many of the kinds of cars that are being auctioned at Sotheby's are going to be right here at Oasis Hallandale as well. So you really do have a little bit of everything, and the lifestyle is uncomparable to pretty much anything in South Florida.
So let's discuss Hallandale Beach. Now, you mentioned Shell Bay. They also have the Pegasus World Cup, which is one of the highest profile horse races. Can you discuss a little bit about the evolution and what else is coming to Hallandale?
Yeah. So when you look at, I think one of the most impactful experiences that I had when I've toured the building once it got to a substantial height was when you get up to the top and you look around and you really see the unobstructed panoramic views, and you have such incredible, there's over $1.7 billion that are going to be invested here in the immediate 1.5 mile radius of Oasis Hallandale. But the impact that you get when you, I think we were maybe on like just the 15th floor or something, you have a beautiful view of the Gulfstream racetrack. I mean, that view was really, really impactful. I had never seen a racetrack from that perspective. Then you get really gorgeous unobstructed views of the Atlantic Ocean, all the beautiful golf courses to the north. And then the other thing that is really, really important about living here in Hallandale Beach is your access to Hard Rock Stadium, which we know all the incredible events that are going on at Hard Rock Stadium. We've got F1 coming up. We've got the tennis coming up. Dolphins, now that they traded Tua, maybe will be a little bit better, but that's for another topic. You've got the private airports, right? You've got Opa-locka, which is literally right there. You've got Fort Lauderdale Airport. And then you've got everything that's happening at the convention center in Fort Lauderdale right there, right? I mean, that's over $1 billion of economic impact that you're going to see in Fort Lauderdale. Don't forget, you're in Broward County. Right. And I just wrote a big op-ed piece about Broward County. I don't know if you guys have had the chance to read it, but I really do believe that Broward County is the missing middle that is going to absolutely boom, because what are people looking for? Value and lifestyle. There's no better value in today's market in South Florida than there is in all of Broward County. And this is a part of Broward County that's connected very closely to Dade County, right? Only a few streets away. So I'm very, very, very bullish on the area.
So you mentioned Hard Rock Stadium. The New York Times recently ran an article about sports and the impact on real estate. We're in Broward. The Panthers won 2 Stanley Cups.
How could I have forgotten about the Panthers? They made three-peat this year.
No, it doesn't look so.
I know. It's not looking good.
But we have Inter Miami is currently playing up here. We have the FIFA World Cup going. Formula One is massive. Can you discuss a little bit about the movement of, interest and people coming to spend money in Broward County and South Florida?
Yeah, we've seen a huge. I think this is sort of an overarching theme that we've seen post-COVID, right? People just want to be in South Florida for all the things that you just mentioned, right? And sports is such a big driver. And soccer, actually, as a sport, football, if you're in Latin America or anywhere in Europe, has become such a driver. And, there's other sports that I think have taken a little bit of a hit because of the impact that soccer has had in our communities. Inter Miami, in particular, here in Broward County, the Messi effect. We all know where Messi moved, right? He didn't move to Palm Beach. He didn't move to Dade County. He moved to Broward County. So that's had an incredible impact. But, people just want to be around things that are fun. Lifestyle-driven events. What more of a lifestyle-driven event is a sporting event? And, Inter Miami, I think, did a really good job of I think the stadium is only going to sit It's like 20,000 people at first, and then they have the capacity to continue to grow it. So anytime you go to the Inter Miami Stadium, it's going to be packed. And they're going to, the Moss family, I know them very well. They're going to continue to make the necessary investments so that they are a winning club. Just like when the Miami Heat had LeBron James, the big three, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh, we were winning. Miami was on fire, right? People want to be around winners. And you know, that's what's driving our communities. That's what's driving, you know, the interest in Miami, amongst many other things. But it's a really, really exciting time to be in South Florida, Broward County in particular.
So coming back to Oasis Hallandale, can you discuss a little bit about the amenities and the value that the buyers are going to have? That overlooks the horse track. So
Yeah.
I know for the World Cup.
It overlooks the horse track. As you said, events like the Pegasus are taking place that people just want to be a part of. I mean, you know, I saw, I think on your social media handle, all the celebrities, and I think nowadays they're called influencers that were at the event, right? So you're just less than a block away from that. You know, it's I think 60,000 square feet of amenities. And when you walk the building, you're able to really feel the amenities and understand how you're going to live within the amenities. There's a jogging track around the entire the two buildings that you're going to be able to go for a jog. There's a dog walk park. There's a kids water park. So it's amenitized in a way that is going to be very livable. I think sometimes in these buildings, developers they don't put enough emphasis on the amenities, right? And as we move towards a much more lifestyle-driven consumer, the amenities become a key driver to the project. So, you know, I'm excited for everybody here. I don't know if you guys have had the chance to see it, but to really, really see it and feel it and know what it's going to be like to live it, because it's going to be much easier to sell it if you do.
And how has the buyer mix been? Is it mostly local people, international, New Yorkers?
Yeah, you know, we've had a little bit of everything. We've had locals, we've had Northeast, we've had Midwest, we've had early international buyers. As we all know, they kind of like to come in early, the Latin American buyers, and invest. But most of the buyers that are here, they want to live here because of all the things that I've just mentioned. So it's nice to have a balanced portfolio like that, because when the building gets delivered, you have less competing inventory. We've been in environments where it's a heavy investor-driven buyer. And then what happens is I see people nodding their heads. They know that inventory starts hitting the market, and then there's kind of a race to the bottom, right? But here, it's actually going to be the complete opposite, right? Many people that have purchased here actually want to live here. I met a really sweet lady at the last event that we were at, and she's a chef, and she invited me to her home to cook up. You know, I think she's anyways, I forgot where's she from. She's Lebanese. She's Lebanese, and she wanted me to go. My father's side of the family is Lebanese, and she said, I want you to come to my apartment. I want to cook a meal for you, etc. And I think that is the kind of buyer that we've seen and we're gonna continue to see, and because we have that kind of buyer in an environment where the market has slowed down a little bit since 24 months ago, right? Let's just kind of call a spade. We've been able to continue to raise prices, right? So our units now are starting around $810,000. That's the starting price point. They go all the way up to $5 million, and that's around $920 a square foot. So still incredible value when you compare us to projects like Shell Bay, which we compete against, you know, and really good upside.
So how is Oasis going to influence the future of development in Hallandale? You have pretty much nothing in the similar price range of new construction in Aventura and Sunny Isles. So what are you going to be seeing in Hallandale stemming from Oasis?
Well, I don't know if you guys know the Reimer family, Reimer Insurance down the street. They own 40 acres, right? Which they're probably going to get an SAP for. And honestly, all he could talk about was Oasis Hallandale. So being the pioneer is really going to allow many other landowners in the area benefit from the success of a project like this, and it sets the bar, right? And I think as we continue to raise prices, create value, create an incredible lifestyle, it will continue to raise the bar. I know that Jeff Sofer from Turnberry just sold a property to a local developer as well, who's doing some really great projects in the area. So, I personally, I'm just happy to be in the center of it all here at Oasis Hallandale.
So you mentioned the development sales market slowed down a little bit, but there still is a bunch of buyer velocity. Can you discuss how it's changed over the past few years and who the new buyers are that you're still seeing?
Yeah, it's not that. It's definitely slowed down from a transaction standpoint, but there's still an incredible amount of demand, right? But buyers in today's day and age, I think the biggest difference between a buyer today and a buyer 5, 7, 10, 15 years ago is the access to information that the buyer has. And that buyer in today's world is following you very, very, very closely. So when I sit with my clients and we work on our tiered pricing approach, or we're talking about raising certain lines, we all have to be very mindful, right, of the fact that the brokers are trying to help their client as best as they can. So the broker has more access to that information, and they're trying to help them by showing them, well, this unit was on the market in, March for X per square foot, and now it's November and it's X per square foot, right? And it's gone up 30%. Well, maybe that building we should not really focus on right now because it's reached its peak appreciation. So as an in-house sales and marketing team working with our developers, we try to be very strategic in working with our pricing releases to the market because the brokers and the clients have much more access to information. And I think the other major difference is because we're seeing a lot more buyers from the Northeast, because we're seeing a lot more buyers from London, from the UK, the demand, really, it's a demand. The demand for well-finished product is greater than ever. You used to be able to get away with not finishing things impeccably. And now their first point of contact with you is normally your sales gallery. So they want to walk into sales galleries, and through Tower Capital, you've invested in some of these deals. You want to know that the product that's going to be delivered is going to be extremely well finished. The developer's not going to value engineer the building, because that's another way that they know as the customer, because they've lived in these major metropolitan cities, that the unit is going to uphold the long-term value for them as the buyer. So that access to information, well-finished product are two key components and a big differentiator. And I think as far as where the clients are coming from differently, I think the client base is kind of the same. We're seeing a little bit more now because of the non-dom tax issue from the UK than we've ever seen before. We haven't seen the Mamdani effects yet from the Northeast, but we did see the COVID effects from the Northeast. We're seeing a lot of Midwest buyers. I actually spoke to a doctor this morning. He sat on the He sat on the board of Anywhere. And he's going to be moving from Chicago to Miami. He's going to be working at a Mercy hospital. And, we're continuing to see the snowbirds move here. And the Latin American buyer is a really important buyer for us. Over the last 12 months, Mexico has been a very, very important market. But I said this earlier, Spain. We're seeing a lot of people move from Spain because Spain becomes a starting point for a lot of Mexicans and many Venezuelans. We stopped seeing Venezuelans for a while. Many of them moved to Spain because it was just easier for them to transact there. I think we'll start to see those people move now to South Florida as well and look for those investments because of what's going on in Venezuela from a geopolitical standpoint.
So, wrapping this up, where do you see Hallandale Beach's place in South Florida over the next 5 to 10 years?
I see it right here at Oasis Hallandale, at the center of it all. But no, Hallandale Beach, because of projects like Oasis Hallandale, because of projects like Shell Bay, because of the ocean, because of the proximity to all the major destinations that we spoke about earlier, and really because of the care and the desire that the city has to make it a vibrant, walkable, very livable city. I think it will continue to boom. I think prices will continue to rise, and I think that only more and more better, better. I think only more and more products are going to come to the market that are going to continue to strive to be one better than the other one, and I'm very excited to be selling Oasis Hallandale, and I'm very excited about the future of Hallandale Beach as a whole.
Thank you very much. Congrats on
Appreciate
the
it.
top off and the promotion or a new title.
Thank you.